So, Msanii Kimani, nice to be talking to you again. You're here at the launch. This is our pre-recorded chat, and I wondered if you'd start off with an introduction to yourself.
Thank you, Dr. Nicola, and thank you for everything that you've done so far, and congratulations for the launch today. My name is Msanii Kimani wa Wanjiru, an artist, creative writing and performing, but also doubling up as an arts journalist and a researcher too. Have written extensively around various issues on culture and the arts in Kenya and East Africa, and even Africa, across Africa, like the Cape Town International Jazz in South Africa, the Dakar Art Biennale, which is one of those prestigious arts festivals in the continent. But recently, for the last couple of years, I've been researching and writing extensively around cartoons and comics in Kenya, with a book that was launched in 2017, capturing the history and trends on cartoons and comic in Kenya, called Ink and Pixel.
And so moving on from that, can you talk a little bit about the seeds of reveal from your end, how it all started?
Well, it's been one of those wonderful journeys, one of those wonderful experiences that we've experienced. And the way it started is that I saw an advert inviting applications for grants from the British Council. They're wonderful. And they were looking for, or they wanted us to have partners both in Kenya and the UK. And I thought, one of the areas that perhaps needs additional research, additional writing, additional revelations is in the role of women cartoons and comics in Kenya and the region. So, and this came as a result of my research when I was doing the book Ink and Pixels, because one of the revelations that came from that book was that it's been one of those areas that has been really marginalized. And listen to this, for instance, the newspaper was introduced in Kenya in 1902. It's called the Standard newspaper. And between the time, the newspaper was also the most popular platform for cartoons and comics, and particularly editorial cartoons. So between the time the newspaper came to the Kenyan shores to the time we had our first editorial cartoonist was 100 years. So, or if you want to look at it differently, is that between the time Kenya got high independence to the time we got first editorial women cartoonist was over 40 years. So there was a gap, and that excited me, and to just know what is the scene, or how does it look like. So when I saw the adverts inviting people to look for grants, I thought the area that we can concentrate on is in the area of women cartoonists and comic artists. So I said, who can I get as a partner from the UK? And I went online, Googled, so different, and then I was attracted to LDC. So I said, okay, it's going to be one of those blind emails that you're going to send, explaining this and this is happening. Would like to do this and this with you, and what do you think? So, keeping faith, wrote the email, and pleasantly you wrote back and said, yeah, why not? Let's do it. And at first, it was just, a small research between Kenya and the UK. But as we discussed, as we got to know each other, as we familiarized with the scene, both in Kenya and the UK, we said, okay, perhaps we can be a little bit more ambitious than the way we started. And he said, let's look at the scene in Kenya. Let's look at the scene in Tanzania. Let's look at the scene in Uganda and Rwanda for starters. And yeah, let's give it a try. And I like the way
Msanii,
that it grew.
Yeah, you said that, because I said, yeah, we'll do a Kenya, Britain. You went, why do we just keep it to that? So that's quite nice. You're very ambitious to take over the world with comics.
Yeah,
That suits me if it's women's comics. Yeah. I was just wondering if this is a good interlude, because every time we talk together or with other people, I sometimes call you Kimani when I need you to listen properly, and then I call you Msanii, and I wonder if you could talk through this mystery around your name.
Yeah, it's been part of that journey, and my artistic name is Kimani wa Wanjiru. But like I said, I was drawn into arts, writing about arts and culture, and both for news stories, feature stories, interview, and so on and so on. So I got an opportunity to go and attend a cultural event in Dakar, Senegal. And I also had a presentation that I was doing there. So it was one of those, wonderful experiences. And, along the way, people are talking about art and stuff like that. So taking pride in what we do. So I sat back and we're having a conversation with some of the Kenyan delegations at that conference. And I told them, it'd actually be very nice for even artists to just, speak and pronounce who they are in the way that you go to a meeting and it's a meeting for doctors. You say, Dr. So-and-so, Dr. So-and-so, engineer so-and-so, CPA so-and-so. So I said, yeah, even artists, let's take pride on that. And that will have meant, for instance, me calling myself artist Msanii, artist Kimani wa Wanjiru. But then there's a nice twist to the name artist in Kiswahili, Msanii, because artist sana and the practitioner is called Msanii, and plural is wasanii. So I said, there's a nice ring to it, Msanii Kimani wa Wanjiru. And yeah, after that, and it's been my byline and my artistic name since that time.
But then there's another twist, isn't there? Because tell us the word for Mr.
Yeah, Mr. Yeah, it's for Kiswahili, it's okay. It's Bwana or B for Miss, Mrs. But again, I didn't.
What's Mr. for a man? Isn't it very similar to Msanii?
No, it's okay. It's not really. No, it's a little bit distant.
Go on. What is it?
Yeah. It's you would say Bwana.
Oh, okay.
BWANA. And that's too formal. And it doesn't bring out the artisticness of
because
the whole experience.
Remember, I told you, a friend of mine said, when you meet Msanii, you mustn't call him Msanii because that just means Mr. Remember that?
Yes.
What
It's a salutation. Yeah.
Meaning hi, Mr.
Yeah. You can say hujambo bwana. That's hi, Mister. Or the same way you'll go hi, doctor. Hi, hello, engineer.
Hello,
Nicola.
Msanii. Oh, I see.
Msanii. Yeah. So you say hello, Msanii. Hello. Yeah. It was just doing away a little bit with the Msanii, the Mister, which you can use. Yeah. in the same way you would use Mr. Doctor, but
okay, so it's not necessarily gendered. I like the fact that it was Mr. and then that you're a man working on this project about women.
It's actually gender neutral because a lady can use Msanii also.
Oh, okay.
It's actually gender.
These are the type of conversations we have. Some way, like, completely going off topic. So that's coming back to Reveal. Then I was wondering if, because so we started working a year ago on this and put in our proposal before Christmas, heard before Christmas. Again, almost a year, December. And we launched in April, and this is, you know, we're in the thick of it here. This is the blossoming. But I wonder if along the way you found that there have been any surprises or any learnings or any challenges, either in the working or with working. And we should say a little bit about what we've done as the project, which was we put out an open call in artists, and then we gathered the women, and we've just finished doing that over a month with some online workshops together. But I just wondered, back to that, what has challenged you or surprised you along the way?
What has come as a pleasant surprise for me is the response that we got, because, you know, we put out we were going out on a fishing expedition, and we didn't know that if that sea has fish or it doesn't, but we cast our net without knowing what if we'll get anything, because, like we said, it's been a very male-dominated scene. And let me mention also that in Kenya, part of the development of the cartoons and comic scene, a big chunk of the contribution has come from Tanzania. But you see, those who have trailblazed in the scene from Tanzania were all male. So it was with a level of uncertainties of what are we going to get from Tanzania? What are we going? Rwanda is, you know, hadn't even heard of it. In terms, personally, in terms of the growth of the scene. Uganda, again, one of the leading contributors of the growth of the Kenyan scene was a Ugandan, and it's been relatively active. So that, for me, when we said one of the ways that we are going to get artists is through this call for, or this invitation for people to send in the submission. I wasn't so sure what to expect. I was living with hope, and that's why part of the journey was to really keep on using every platform on social media, on WhatsApp, personal connections, personal relationships, to keep on talking about Reveal and what we are doing and the invitation and the things that we are sending out there. And also is that because we got very little in terms of feedback, you know, inquiries, even when we set up, you know, information meetings, Zoom information meetings. Again, the response was always, you know, below par. So that uncertainty for me was, well, what are we going to get? What are we going to get? What are we going to get? And you remember, even at one time we were discussing, well, when the deadline comes and we haven't received, what do we do? What is going to be our plan B in terms of, well, we haven't received anything. Do we extend it? What are the conditions of extending it further? So all that for me was a nice learning curve, and then were, like, said, pleasantly surprised that you know, probably were working on something towards the deadline. So everyone is sending their stuff, and I was very happy with the numbers that we got.
Yeah.
So
in total, we had 21 submissions.
Yes.
There were some really nice stories, and a variety of styles and interpretations of what comics
Yes, yes, yes.
Different levels of familiarity with the art form, which I really liked.
Yes.
I think that's quite refreshing.
Yeah. Yeah, and that also for me has been one of those the most pleasant part of this journey. The stories that our participants, developed, and the images that accompanied those stories. For me, that was really, really a clear demonstration that, we were onto a good thing. We have, lived up to the title and the desire of the project, reveal, the things that we are revealing. Yeah.
And I think it's like you say, all the time we've been working with what's happening rather than what was on our proposal, because we've been ready at each turn, as we are now, each turn.
Yes.
Because you're unable to be with us in person because of the visa thing, so we've switched to online where we feel comfortable anyway.
Yes, yes.
It's we're addressing things, but one of the things. No.
But speaking of online and the opportunities that it's brought, I would say probably like almost everything, you faced with a few challenges here, and some of it is beyond our control. But the most important thing is, how do we navigate that? And I must say we've managed to navigate around some of the obstacles that we've experienced, right from the beginning of the experience of money transfer. That was, we handled it nicely, and we found a way of basically a smooth transition for that. But for me, the most positive thing that can also be attributed to some of the lessons that we've had that came with COVID and post-COVID lessons is the ability to still make those significant connections.
Yeah.
The connections we've made. We organized this whole project via these possibilities of not even face-to-face, but you remember the planning meetings that we had when we said that now let's go for it. So that possibility of that connection, we've adequately utilized it. But the part for me where it was really, really well utilized is the online residencies that we organized with our winners. Running a 4-week residency and with participants.
8 participants we had.
And 8 participants. Yeah. And within it also doing, really wonderful practical work. From Kigali, from Dar es Salaam, from Arusha, from Nairobi. That for me is, something that good to talk about.
And I was thinking, just to round up, that one of the things when we very first started, we're both historians, published historians, so we were thinking about it coming together to do research into the past. But what's happened is we're creating the history.
Yes.
To go forward, and I think that's what's often forgotten about.
That's
that we're doing it. This is the history, and we're forming. Then go forward and develop the relationships.
That is so right. It's actually interesting, an interesting way of looking at it, because just within that 1-2 years, we've created history.
Yeah, and one of the things that again came out of our scenic route through our proposal was that we've decided to create an anthology of the works, a published anthology of the works that came out of the workshops, so that the women have that as a publicity, marketing, really, isn't it?
Yeah,
and both of us do. So that will be at the very end. We've just discussed that will come out at the very end of the project in late later in the year. But I think that's, you know, the talks that we found will be most useful for all of us, and a nice,
yeah, absolutely,
becomes part of the archive. So in that sense, it goes into the historical archive, certainly in the
absolutely. Whoever comes after us,
yeah,
will not be coming from that point of uncertainty of what are comic women comic artists. Do we first even have women comic artists in Rwanda or Tanzania or Uganda or Kenya? They will have a point of departure. They will have something that they can reference on with the anthology that we're going to create. So it's both useful for ourselves and for the work that we are doing as even historians, but it's useful to the contestants, the winners, and even those who took part, but even those that are going to come after that, those that are going to have access to it, because you know, if we'll make it both accessible, both the soft and the hard printed document. So there will always be a significant point of reference, like you're saying, a wonderful archive for that.
So thank you for talking with this and recording, and hopefully that people watching you and hearing will be able to meet you in real life. Hopefully we'll get you to the UK at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. But even without that, I'm really grateful.
How do people find you? Can you just talk through Kymsnet Media Network?
Okay.
And just speak the details.
Yeah. Where people can we can partner, we can reach, we can build synergies together and networks through Kymsnet Media Network. And basically, Kymsnet Media Network is a Kenyan-based agency that focuses on culture and the arts. And like I keep on saying and talking about our clarion, is that transforming Africa through culture and the arts. That's our clarion. And that's why, like, for instance, for now, I'm excited that we are talking significant issues of climate change, but through the lens of the artistic eyes. I'm happy with the kind of conversation that you had mentioned sometimes back on the connection of migrations. That's a conversation that me and you have initially started talking about, and we can build onto that. So that's the kind of work that we do, research, but also syndicate stories, work with young arts journalists who want to, basically work on that space. One of the side projects that we have also been doing is with the assistance of Article 19. We've had an initiative of mentoring and working with editorial cartoonists to mentor young aspiring editorial cartoonists, so that when the current one exits, who is going to take over that? So those are some of the things that we do as Kymsnet. And yeah.
Do you, because we're running out of time, so I'm just wrapping up. What's your social media? Do you use social media? What's your
Absolutely. On Twitter, it's at Kimani wa Wanjiru. On Instagram is at Kimani wa Wanjiru. Facebook is still Msanii Kimani wa Wanjiru.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm reworking on my blog, which is going to be either kimaniwawanjiru.com, but we're working on the domain because we're moving it from WordPress. But I'm in favor of kimaniwawanjiru.com.
And what we can do is, once your blog's up and updated with the process of reveal, we can also link from LDC's site to you. And
absolutely, yes. I mean, that's the whole essence of our partnerships, that you'll be able to magnify us in the same way that will magnify you from this end.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Hope to talk to you later.